Bienvenidos, Ushamdi, and welcome CTS230 Section 841 students for the first 8-week term of the fall 2017 semester at Anne Arundel Community College. This is the Networking 3 or the Scaling Networks V6 course from Cisco Networking Academy, and this evening's video tutorial and solution set is going to be on the big activity from Chapter 4, and that is the Skills Integration Challenge Packet Tracer Activity 4.4.1.2. And this is going to require us to pull all of our VTP, in other words, that Vlan trunking protocol, all of our DTP, the dynamic trunking protocol, Etherchannel, and other skills that we have acquired into a single comprehensive activity. So let's go ahead and pull it up. As you can clearly see, we're going to probably be doing some HSRP2. We're going to have quite a bit to do. So here's the addressing table over to the right. We've got two routers are configured to communicate with each other. We're responsible for configuring sub-interfaces to communicate with the switches. So we're going to be doing router on a stick here for router 1 as well as router 2. We're going to configure inter VLAN routing with RIP-v2, VLANs with VTP, trunking Etherchannel with PVST, and Etherchannel with PVST. All right, so the PCs and internet devices are all pre-configured. So we're responsible for configuring router 1 and 2 and the 4 switches. Packet Tracer does not allow assigning point values less than 1. Because this activity is checking over 150 items, not all configurations are assigned a point value. Click Check Results Assessment item to verify you've correctly configured everything. Well, let's see if we can get through this without doing that. So the first thing we're going to do here is on router 1 and router 2, we're going to configure the appropriate .1Q interfaces. So we'll start on router 1. And the nice thing here with the routers is that the text, which actually I restarted, so I apologize. Let me come up here to Options, Preferences, and Font, and let's grow the font here to 18, and let's see what 18 looks like over here, and we're going to apply that, and let's pull that router. There we go, much nicer. And unfortunately, that is not working for the switches. I'll give it another try, but it was not working for the switches. So we're going to be going from user exec here with the greater than prompt to privilege exec with the enable command, and then we're going to be moving into global config with the configure terminal command. So interface gigabit Ethernet 00.1, and I'm getting all my information from the addressing table here for the sub interfaces. So let's go ahead and configure things. We're going to say, whoops, IP address, and this is going to be 192.168.99.1, and it is a /24. So what's going to happen here? Exactly, right? We're going to try to do a little refresher while we move through. Exactly. So we get this error. It's telling me, hey, listen, you're doing a sub interface. We know that the other end is going to be a trunk and that multiple VLANs can come across that interface. So we have to tell this interface, right? We have to give gigabit Ethernet 0.1 some idea of how it's going to differentiate between the different VLANs that are going to be coming across that trunk link. So we have to put the NCAP, right? NCAP.1Q, and this is going to be VLAN 99. Now we can throw the IP address on there. So let's now go off and do gigabit Ethernet 00.10. And it's interesting that this is VLAN 99, but the sub interface was gigabit Ethernet 00.1. Remember, the interface, the sub interface number does not have to match the encapsulation number or the VLAN number, but it's always a good deal to do that. And you'll see here these next two sub interfaces, that's the case. NCAP.1Q10 for VLAN 10, IP address 192.168.10.1. This is also /24. And then we're going to go NCAP.1Q, I'm sorry, before we do that, let's get into interface Ethernet 00.20. And I'm sorry, I forgot the interface gigabit Ethernet 00.20. Had to pause there for a second. So NCAP.1Q20, and then IP address 192.168.20.1, and this is also a /24. And now let's go ahead and say do show IP interface brief. We're going to have to bring up the parent interface, do show IP interface brief. We're going to have to bring the parent interface up because as you can see, it's gig00 is administratively down. So we're going to have to fix that. I'm looking to see serials 000 and 001. Those are configured. So let's go into interface gigabit Ethernet 00 and say no shut. And take a look at that. It brings up all three of our sub interfaces. Do show IP interface brief. And so everything is looking good on router 1. Let's go ahead and configure router 2. And again, this is going to be much the same exercise here. Well, where we will go from user exec to privilege exec into global config interface gigabit Ethernet 00. I'll bring this interface up first, and then we'll go into interface gigabit 00.1. And again, interesting that they're using .1 for VLAN 99. IP address 192.168.99.1. Whoops, and it's a /24. Let me double check that. Sorry, 99.2. And it's a /24. And then interface gigabit Ethernet 00.10. And we're going to say incap.1q10. IP address 192.168.10.2. Make sure we get the IP addresses correct here. And then interface gigabit Ethernet 00.20. And incap.1q20 for VLAN 20 traffic. And then IP address 192.168.20.2. And this is also a /24. So our points are quickly adding up over there. Again, lots of things to do in this activity. So all of the .1q interfaces are configured. Do show IP interface brief. And we look good. All right, so configure the appropriate .1q incap. We did. Configure VLAN 99 as the native VLAN. Did we do that? No, we did not. So I want to say incap.1q 99 native, and then let's go ahead and make that correction here on router 1 as well. Interface gigabit Ethernet 00.1, and that's tricking me there. I wanted to put in 99.1q 99 native. All right, configure the IP address for the sub interface according to the addressing table. So all of this has been done. So now we're going to configure RIP-v2 using the following requirements. Do not advertise the network connected to the internet. And that's going to be this 209.165.200. Disable auto summarization and disable RIP updates for each interface, or I'm sorry, for each sub interface. So here's how we're going to handle that. We're going to go ahead and say router RIP. And now when I'm under router RIP, you can see I'm going to do no auto summary because that is going to ensure that auto summary is disabled. We don't need to worry about the administrative distance. I'm going to say passive interface gigabit Ethernet 00.1, 00.10, 00.20. In other words, I don't want RIP sending updates out those interfaces. So version 2, no need to worry about the timers. Now we need the network statement. So 192.168.1.0. And we'll go ahead and say, excuse me, network 192.168.10.0. And we can even throw in, oops, sorry. We actually don't need that because that is the subnet mask. And then .20.0. All right, so let's see what we've got here for the RIP configuration. So there we go, RIP v2, passive interface on all of our sub interfaces, and then the network statements for all of the networks. But there is, let me make sure, do show IP interface brief. 99, I've got the 1 for serial 001, but we left out the 99, so let's make sure we get that on there as well. Network 192.168.99.0. All right, so we've got everything added in there on router 1. Disable RIP updates on the sub interfaces. We did that. Let me double check that. Yeah, so we did that on the sub interfaces. We did not advertise the network to the internet, and we disabled auto summarization. So now let's go over to router 2, and let's wash, rinse, and repeat. We're going to do the same thing here. So router RIP, version 2. We're going to say passive interface gigabit Ethernet 00.1.10 and .20. And that takes care of our sub interfaces. Now let's get our network statements in here. 192.168.1.0. Whoops, .1.0, and then .10.0, .20.0, and then .99.0. And no auto summary. Let me make sure we don't forget that. No auto summary. So do show run. Let's see what we've got here under the RIP configuration. And it looks just like router 1. So things are looking good there from a RIP perspective. Now it looks like we are done with the routers at this point. So now we're going to transition over here to VTP and VLAN. So switch 1 is going to be the VTP server, configure all other switches as VTP clients. So let's jump on to switch 1 here and let's make that happen. And hopefully, I've got my fingers crossed that the font is going to cooperate, although I have a feeling, yes, it is not. So I'll be emceeing this. We're going to go from user exec enable to privilege exec into global config VTP mode server. Right, it says setting device to VTP server mode. VTP domain is CCNA. So we do capital CCNA. And on switch 1, it wants us to create some VLANs here. So let's say VLAN 10, VLAN 20, VLAN 99. All right, so we've just knocked out our VLAN creation. So configure the following static ports for switch 1 and switch 2. So let's go into interface range, fast Ethernet 01, comma, fast Ethernet 010, comma, fast Ethernet 020, I'm sorry, 10 goes from 10 to 19, comma, fast Ethernet 0/20 to 24. All right, so we're going to say no shut on these, switch port mode access, and it looks like I'm going to have to make a change here. Actually, let's go into interface range, fast Ethernet 01 to 9, 1 through 9. So we're going to make a simple change here. We're going to say switch port mode, access, switch port access, VLAN 10. Now, another good practice, right? Spanning tree, port fast, and spanning tree, BPDU guard enable, right? To protect ourselves here on these static access ports. Let's go into interface fast Ethernet 010 to 20, it looks like. And again, I'm sorry, interface range fast Ethernet 010 to 20. And we're going to say switch port mode access. We'll no shut these ports, switch port access VLAN 20, and then spanning tree port fast and spanning tree BPDU guard enable. All right, so we've got that knocked out, and then interface range, fast Ethernet 0/20 to 24, and all right, we need to be careful here. So access ports. So these are trunk ports that we're dealing with here, 20 to 24, and then gigabit Ethernet 01 to 2. So we're going to say no shut, switch port mode trunk, switch port trunk NCAP.1Q. You'll notice it doesn't work because these are 2960s. We don't need to do it. That is the default. All right, so that takes care of switch 1. We'll say switch port trunk native VLAN 99. And then how about switch port no negotiate? Right, because we've hard-coded it as a trunk port, so we're going to turn DTP off. There's no need to have DTP involved here. And that takes care of switch 1. So let's go ahead and do an end and a write mem. We got quite a bit going on there. Now let's pull up switch 2. So we pull up switch 2, and remember, switch 2 is going to be a VTP client. So we'll go from user exec to privilege exec into global config, VTP mode client, VTP domain CCNA. All right, and that's been taken care of. So now let's say do show VLAN brief. Do we have any VLANs? Not yet, because we've got these native VLAN mismatches between switch 1 and switch 2. So let's take care of that. So we're not going to be creating any VLANs. We're going to go into interface range, fast Ethernet 0, 1 through 9, switch port mode, access, and actually, let's fix the trunk ports first, and then we'll pick up the VLANs after we do that. So interface range, fast Ethernet 0, 20 to 24, comma, gigabit Ethernet 0, 1 to 2. And we're going to say no shut, switch port mode trunk, right? Switch port trunk, native VLAN 99. And let's go ahead and you can see the port consistency restored, switch port no negotiate. So I'm going to say do show VLAN brief and take a look at that. We have learned the VLANs that we needed, right? That would have been created anyway, but we wanted to learn those from VTP. So we see VTP is working. Now let's go into interface range, fast Ethernet 0, 1 through 9, switch port mode access, switch port access VLAN 10, and then we're going to go ahead and say spanning tree port fast and spanning tree BPDU guard enable. Right, and then what about an interface range for fast Ethernet 0, 10 to 20, sorry, 19, and no shut, switch port mode access, switch port access VLAN 20, and we're going to go ahead and say spanning tree port fast, and then spanning tree BPDU guard enable, and so we take care of that, and we already did the trunk ports. So that looks good. Now we've got inconsistencies here with switch 3 and switch 4 because again, we haven't configured switch 3 and switch 4. So let's say end, and let's do a quick write mem. And let's make our way over to switch 3. And we'll pull switch 3 and switch 4 into the fold here, and we'll take care of that native VLAN mismatch error that we're seeing here. So on switch 3, let's go from user exec, the greater than sign with the enable command, to privilege exec, configure terminal, into global config. And I'm going to pull this in just a skosh. There we go. So we can see what we're doing. So on switch 3 and switch 4, remember VTP mode client, VTP domain CCNA, and do we have do show VLAN brief? Are we picking anything up? We are not. Right? So we need to, because again, we've got these native VLAN mismatch errors, and we say do show interface trunk. We don't have any trunks, right? And remember, those VTP advertisements come across trunk links, and trunk links only. So let's knock out the trunks first. Interface range fast Ethernet 0, 21 to 24, comma, gigabit Ethernet 0, 1 to 2. So we're going to no shut those guys. We're going to say switch port mode trunk, switch port no negotiate, and then switch port trunk native VLAN 99. And we should have some consistency restored, and there we go. Port consistency restored across the board, so that looks good. Now we can swing back, and actually before we do that, let's confirm do show VTP, I'm sorry, not VTP, VLAN brief to see that the VTP information has made its way across the trunk links that are now up, and there we go, do show interface trunk. All right, fantastic. So let's go ahead now. Fast Ethernet 0, 1 through 9. Interface range, fast Ethernet 0, 1 through 9. We'll say no shut. We'll say switch port mode access. And then switch port access VLAN. And these guys are also going to be 10. Spanning tree port fast, sure, let's throw that in there. Spanning tree BPDU guard enable. We'll dump that in there too because maybe they're going to be asking for that. And now interface range fast Ethernet 0, 10 to 20. So it was 10 to 19 above, and here it's 10 to 20. All right, so interface range, so let's say no shut, switch port mode access, switch port access VLAN 20, spanning tree, oops, sorry, switch port access VLAN 20, spanning tree, port fast, spanning tree, BPDU guard enable, and we already did the trunk port, so we should be good to go on switch 3. So we'll throw a quick write mem on there, and let's transition to switch 4. And so I'm a little leery there that I was putting in for the range on 1 and 2 that I included 20. You'll notice that 20 is supposed to be, so that's interesting. It's 20. I'm wondering if we've got an error here of some kind. So we'll come back to this. So what I'm looking at here is 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. That's 5 ports. And that doesn't make sense to be trunk ports that we have, or actually it does. The uplink, maybe they're using, that should be a gig port though. So we'll come back to this because this has caught my attention here. This fast Ethernet 0, 10 to 19 on switch 1 and 2, but 10 to 20 on 3 and 4. Okay, and that's got to be it, because it's got to be that 20 is the uplink here, because that's the extra 5th port, I believe. 21, 22, 20. That's got to be it. Okay, we're going to have to double check that. I'll make sure we don't lose any points on that. All right, so here we are on switch 4. This is our last guy to configure with VTP and to make sure we've got the trunking and access ports in line. So let's go from user exec with the enable command to privilege exec, configure terminal into global config, and let's knock out, or actually let's say VTP mode client, VTP domain CCNA, and then let's knock out the trunk ports first. Fast Ethernet 021 to 24, interface range 021 through 24. We're going to say no shut, switch port mode trunk. We're good there. Switch port no negotiate, switch port trunk native VLAN 99. And the consistency is restored. Let's see, make sure we've got these VTP updates. Do show VLAN brief. And there are my VLANs, 1020 and 99. So now let's take care of the access ports. Interface range, fast Ethernet 0129. We're going to say no shut. Switch port mode access, switch port access VLAN 10, spanning tree port fast, spanning tree BPDU guard enable. Now to the next range, fast Ethernet, interface range, fast Ethernet 010 through 20. No shut these guys. We're going to say switch port mode access, switch port access VLAN 20, throw spanning tree port fast on there, and then spanning tree BPDU guard enable. Now I'm not sure if port fast and BPDU guard are required, but definitely a best practice when we're talking about access ports. So we've made some pretty nice progress, right? 115 out of 179. And now we move into, and did I not say, where was I at? I should be here, do show run. Did I not put the native VLAN? I'm glad that that error message came up. Switch port trunk native VLAN 99. So that's correct. So that error message, and I'm wondering if this is me missing. It's not me missing. I left it out of the range. So gig 01 and 02, okay, there we go. Easy to fix. So interface range, fast Ethernet, gigabit Ethernet 01 to 2, switch port mode trunk, right? Switch port trunk, native VLAN 99, and then switch port no negotiate. We're going to turn DTP off. We don't need it. All right, so now we've got consistency restored and everything looks good. So here we go to the ether channels, and this is where mistakes will get made, right? Is we've got to make sure we're on this port channel numbering the way they've got it set up, and that we get the right ports into the right port channel. And in fact, as I look at this, hold on one second here. This is low-hanging fruit right here. I'm going to take care of the spanning tree first. So let's make that happen. So on switch 1, we're going to say spanning tree VLAN 10, priority 4096, spanning tree VLAN 20, priority 8192. And that's on switch 1. On switch 2, we're going to go ahead and do something very similar here. We're going to say spanning tree VLAN 10, priority 8192, making this the backup route bridge for VLAN 10. Spanning tree VLAN 20, spanning tree VLAN 20, priority 4096, and this is the primary route bridge for VLAN 20. And now let's take care of switch 3 and switch, well, is there anything for us to do with switch 3 and switch 4? Nothing to do with switch 3 and switch 4, right? So, but let's run the command anyway because we want to make sure that VLAN 10, whoops, sorry, VLAN 10 priority 32768. Want to make sure we're not missing anything here. And I could have said, I could have run this here, VLAN 10, comma 20, 32768, and then we'll come on to switch 4. We'll do the same thing just to make sure, even though that's the default, spanning tree VLAN 10, comma 20, priority 32768. Let's see, we've got 123 points. Are they grading us on putting the default value in? All right, I hope not, and it didn't look like it. Okay, so this has been taken care of, right? Per VLAN rapid spanning tree mode for all switches. Very easy. Spanning tree mode rapid PVST, and that takes care of 4. Let's go backwards on this. We'll do 3. Spanning tree mode rapid PVST. We'll go to switch 2. Spanning tree mode rapid PVST. And finally, switch 1, spanning tree mode rapid PVST. Now, again, we get down to the all ether channels are going to be LACP. They're statically configured to trunk all VLANs, including VLAN 99 as the native VLAN. So we've already got that configured. So here we go. On switch 1, interface range, gigabit Ethernet 0, 1 to 2. We're going to say channel group 1 mode active. And it doesn't say whether it can, if it needs to be active or passive, so we're going to go active everywhere. And channel protocol, right? Probably no points for this, but that's irrelevant. Best practice, protect ourselves here, right? All right, that's switch 1 on for channel 1. Now we're going to come down and do switch. Since we're on switch 1, we'll knock them all out right here. So interface range, fast Ethernet 023 to 24. Let me make sure I get this right. Channel group 3 mode active. Channel protocol LACP, right? Always protect yourself. Interface range, fast Ethernet 021 to 22. Channel group 5 mode active. And then channel protocol LACP. All right, so we've taken care of switch 1. Let's come over to switch 2. So on switch 2, the first one is going to be interface range gigabit Ethernet 0, 1 to 2. It's going to be channel group 2 mode active and channel protocol LACP. And then switch 2's next one is going to be, whoops, interface range fast Ethernet 023 to 24, where we're going to say channel, excuse me, channel group, I need to make sure I get this right here, channel group 3 mode active and channel protocol LACP. So that's the second one on switch 2, and then we've got interface range fast Ethernet 021 to 22, and we're going to say channel group 6 mode active, and then channel protocol is going to be LACP. So that takes care of switch 2. Now we're off to switch 3. And so switch 3 interface range gigabit Ethernet 0, 1 to 2, and channel group 1 mode active. Channel protocol is going to be LACP. And now you'll notice it says native VLAN mismatch because we've configured it on the member interfaces. And let me make sure that I didn't miss those. The member interfaces should be showing LACP. Okay, so it's not there. So let's go ahead. Let's go into interface P01, and we're going to say switch port trunk native VLAN, native VLAN 99. So that's the first one on switch 3. The next one on switch 3 is going to be interface range fast Ethernet 023 to 24. And we're going to say channel group, and the number for this one is 4 mode active, and then channel protocol, very important, LACP. Okay, and then switch 3's last one is going to be interface range fast Ethernet 021 to 22, channel group, and we've got that mismatch, so we'll fix that for both of these at the same time. Channel group 6 mode active, and then channel protocol LACP. And then we're going to go into interface port channel 4, PO6, and interface range. And it doesn't seem to like that. So we'll say interface PO4, and we're going to say switch port trunk native VLAN 99, interface PO6, switch port trunk native VLAN 99. And so we should have that all squared away. We'll do a do show run real quick, and we can see that that looks good to go. If I was to validate do show interface trunk, and it's not showing any trunk ports right now. So what this has me wondering, is it expecting us to enter all of those commands? And you can see we've got something with switch 1, native VLAN mismatch. And we've got it with switch 2. And I'm assuming we're going to see switch 4 here in a second. Or actually, we haven't configured switch 4 yet. So here's what I'm wondering if they want us to do. Let's give this a go. Interface port channel 1. So switch port mode trunk, switch port no negotiate, switch port native, switch port trunk native VLAN 99. Okay, so put all of that in there. So let's go into interface PO4 and do the same thing. Switch port mode trunk, switch port no negotiate, and then I could probably pull this back up real quick. Native VLAN 99, PO6, switch port mode trunk, switch port no negotiate, and then switch port native VLAN 99. And we may need to go around and do that to each of these guys, but let's get to switch 4 first. And for switch 4, it's going to be interface range, gigabit Ethernet 0, 1 to 2. And we're going to say switch port mode. And actually, let's do this. Let's just do the bare minimum config. Channel group and 4 is 2, mode active, channel protocol, LACP. So 4's next one is interface range fast Ethernet 0, 23 to 24. And we're going to say channel group. And where are we at here? Channel group 4 mode, channel group 4 mode active. And then interface range fast Ethernet 0, 21 to 22. Channel group 5 mode active. And then we'll throw our channel protocol in here, LACP. So now for switch 4, we're going to go to interface PO2, switch port mode trunk, switch port trunk, native VLAN 99, switch port no negotiate. And then we'll do the same thing for interface PO4. And I can actually pull these up real quickly. Switch port trunk native VLAN, switch port mode trunk, switch port no negotiate. And then interface PO5. So switch port mode trunk, switch port no negotiate, and then the trunk native VLAN. So that takes care of switch 4. So let's go back to 1 and 2 here. And let's go into interface PO1, switch port mode trunk, switch port no negotiate, switch port trunk native VLAN 99. And then 1 also has PO3, switch port mode trunk, switch port no negotiate, switch port trunk native VLAN 99. And that should take care of that. And then interface PO5, switch port mode trunk, switch port no negotiate, switch port trunk native VLAN 99. All right, we've got consistency being restored. Order has been restored. Now this is the last guy here. My guess is we're 4 points away and that this is probably going to close things out. So let's say interface PO switch 2, switch port mode trunk, switch port no negotiate, switch port trunk native VLAN 99. Interface PO3, switch port mode trunk, switch port no negotiate, and then the native VLAN, and then switch 2's last one is PO6, switch port mode trunk, switch port no negotiate, and switch port trunk native VLAN whoops, 99. So do show interface trunk, much better, much, much better. All right, now we do have an inconsistency here, and this is what I thought I might have done, and you can see it right here. It's fast Ethernet 020. So this is switch 2. So switch 1 and 2, 20 is a trunk port. Okay, so we got that right. I want to make sure I check this. They're supposed to be trunks, so let's take a look at that. Let's say do show run. Let's see what fast Ethernet 020 looks like. All right, native VLAN, trunk, no negotiate. So we're happy with that. Not part of LACP. Let's check switch 1 and say do show interface trunk and make sure that we're good there. So 3 port channels. And it looks like port channel 1 and 3 are blocking. And then we've got the trunking interface up to the other one. So that looks good. All PCs should be able to ping the web server. And so the web server address, let's pull up PCA here. Now remember, the PCs are supposed to be configured. And we're going to say command prompt. So the web server, can I ping 64 dot, and what am I looking at here? 104.13.130. Let's give it a go here. We're probably going to have to ARP out for that default gateway layer 2 information. And interestingly enough, no HSRP involved. All right, so the requests are timing out here. All right, so let's do this. Can I ping 192.168.1.1? All right, I can ping 1.1. Can I ping 10.1? And I may not be, okay, so this is in VLAN 10. So I can make it to router 1. Can I ping 10.2, which was router 2? We can. But we can't get out. Let me take a quick look here and make sure I didn't skip something because I probably did. So let's take a look at our results here. And all right, so you got to be kidding. The VTP password of all things. Now it's interesting because I was looking for that and I did not see that called out. So where did I miss that? Because we're missing 4 points, so it's going to be entered 4 times. And I probably read right by, oh my goodness, Cisco 123. Okay, so over here, VTP password, and this is lowercase Cisco 123. There we go. Switch 2, exit, VTP password, Cisco 123. We'll come over here to switch 3. And we'll say VTP password, Cisco 123. And then finally on switch 4, we're going to go ahead and say, we'll get into global config, VTP password, Cisco 123. All right, now that gives us all the points, but the bigger concern right now is that we could not, is it reach it or ping it? All PCs should be able to ping the web and other PCs. All right, so back to this addressing table. So PC10A, I could not ping, and now it's working. Okay, so that's a little odd. So I put the VTP password in, and we didn't need that before, and I'm wondering if the activity was not going to let me ping until that was done. All right, so we can ping the internet. Can we ping, let's check another PC here. Can I ping 192.168.10.102? Yep, we've got reachability there. Let's try to ping 192.168.20.101. Inner VLAN routing here, right? I don't have any access lists that are denying this, so maybe a quick ARP, and there we go. We're working. All right, so we've maxed out our points here, 179 out of 179, and we got to put into play a lot of things that we've covered from chapters 2, 3, and 4. Again, we configured the router on a stick on router 1 and router 2. We configured RIP v2 on router 1 and router 2, VTP, as well as some VLANs, and then really we went bananas with Etherchannel, right? Lots of Etherchannel work, and this is very, very important. Okay, well, this is going to wrap up Packet Tracer Activity 4.4.1.2, the Skills Integration Challenge from Chapter 4. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great weekend, you guys, and I will see you on Tuesday.